Hey everyone, this video is going to go over how to edit the med library for Marsupial EMR using Marsupial Editor, and we'll also go over editing the new Monographs database for the drug book guide entries as well. So go to File, and we have some options in Marsupial Editor to open EMR database, open medication library database, and open Monographs database. We're going to do the medication library database first, and we'll add a medication to it. So I have all my user DBs in my Marsupial folder under the user DB folder, and then I've got a bunch of the demo databases that are included with Marsupial EMR. So in the main Marsupial Editor video, we made this demo charts DB for our patient charts, and this med library DB is included as an example of med library. And then we have this monographs.db, which has all the drug book library entries in it if you want students to look up drug information within Marsupial. So let's open our med library DB up first. It'll pop up a new window here where we can start editing our med library. It'll default to the oldest meds entered at top, and if you scroll down, you'll have your newer meds at the bottom. You're free to sort these by whatever you want. So if you want to sort it by generic name, just click that. So I've got a bunch of meds already in here. You'll have the barcode, the generic name of the medication, the dose, which has to be a number, the units, the route, whether it's enteral or parenteral, and then the physical medication form. So it was a tablet, a vial, a capsule, whatever, a bag. And now there's some new fields. We have cabinet, drawer, and bin. These are fields for the medication location. If you are going to be having students like physically pull the med out of a medication dispenser, or if you have like a fake medication dispenser, you can put locations here for the medications. So for this acetaminophen 325, I have it in both of these acetaminophen are in cabinet 1. One's in drawer 1, bin 1, and the other one's in drawer 2, bin 3. So these can be anything you want. They don't have to be numbers. They can be words. So if you want like cabinet, like cabinet A, med room, or the drawer or bin, you can pick what you want here. You don't have to use all three. If you just want to use bin, then you can just fill that out. And then you can selectively enable these locations within Marsupial EMR, and it'll show on the MAR what the location is if you fill it out. These are also used by Marsupial Pharmacy, which is the new medication dispensing software that was recently released. So if you want to use Marsupial Pharmacy as your medication dispenser and then label a bunch of drawers and bins in a cabinet, the students will be able to pull out medications like they would on like a medication dispenser system in a hospital, like a Pyxis or Omnicell system. So check that out if you haven't. Just released that fall of 2024. And then the last option we have here is controlled. And controlled will tell Marsupial Pharmacy whether it's a controlled substance or not. If you're using Marsupial Pharmacy and you mark this as yes, I don't have any marked here, but for example, if we were giving morphine and we mark this as controlled, then Marsupial Pharmacy would request a count of the pills in whatever bin you have them in, or whatever packaging the med's in. For example, as vials, so it asks the student to count the number of vials for a controlled substance before they remove their dose. So again, this last one is mostly just for Marsupial Pharmacy. Your locations can be used with or without Marsupial Pharmacy, or not at all. No matter if you're using Marsupial Pharmacy or not, you can show these locations on Marsupial EMR on the actual MAR. And again, you can select which fields you want to show and not. There's a setting on the settings page of Marsupial EMR. It'll let you choose which fields are shown to the student. All right, a couple other things. The barcodes are unique, so you can only have one barcode per med. So you couldn't have two entries with the same barcode. Each barcode has to be unique, which makes sense because if we scan one thing, we have to be able to tell it's that one thing and not something else. But you are allowed to have multiple of the same drug. So for example, I have 2 acetaminophen here, 2 different dosages. They're both pills, they're tablets. One's 325, one's 650. They're both named acetaminophen, but they have different barcodes. So the way this works is with Marsupial EMR, when you put a medication order in Marsupial EMR, it will try and whenever like the student goes to scan a medication, it'll find the barcode they scanned, it'll look at the generic name and try to match it to an order. So your medication order has to match this generic name exactly. So if you have an order for acetaminophen, you scan this barcode and its generic name is also acetaminophen, then Marsupial will try and match it correctly. The route also has to match the order. So if I have an order for PO acetaminophen, like an enteral form of acetaminophen, versus like an IV form, like a parenteral form. So if I tried to scan a vial of acetaminophen, it would not match these enteral route, even if the order was for acetaminophen. It has to match this route as enteral or parenteral in the order as well. And then the dose field here, it will try and do math on this dose. For example, if I had an order for 650 milligrams of acetaminophen, I could scan one 650 milligram tablet, or I could scan 2 325 milligram tablets. As long as this dose field is a number, that'll work fine. It has to be a number. So it can be decimals like 0.25 or 120 or 1. Just has to be a numeric, like a number. It can't be 1/2, 1/2. It would have to be 0.5. It has to be like a number. Another thing that's come up in the past are combination meds. So if you're trying to do a combination med, like Percocet, for example, that has oxycodone 5 milligrams and acetaminophen 325 milligrams, you have to write it like this. You couldn't put in the dose field 5/325 because it can't recognize that as a number. So whatever you put in the dose here has to be a number. And the number is going to be the physical dose of the medication they're scanning. So it could be 325 milligrams, or it could be a volume like this normal saline. I have a 100 milliliter bag of normal saline. I have multiple entries for normal saline. I have a liter bag, 100 milliliter bag, 250, 50. I have multiple 1,000 milliliter bags of saline. Sometimes the barcodes are different if you have different suppliers, so that's okay. As long as the barcodes are different, you can have multiple barcodes for the same medication and the same medication dose. The other thing on this page is a search barcode. So if you're not sure if you have a medication in this med library already, you can just scan your medication and it'll pop out the barcode. When you do that, you can click search, and if it finds that barcode in the med library, it'll skip to it automatically. So let's just pick one here. Let's do DocuSate. I'm just going to copy this barcode because I don't have physical DocuSate next to me. We're going to paste that in there, and we'll just kind of simulating scanning it, and then we'll hit search, and it found that barcode and it highlights it as DocuSate sodium. So that's a quick way to see if you've already have a medication in there already. Because the barcode has to be unique, you can't have duplicate barcodes. So I usually, if I'm putting something new in here, I'll just double check I don't have it in there already by scanning it, and it'll search for it. All right. Like other fields in Marsupial Editor, you can double click something to edit it if you want to change something, or you can click New Med. So we're going to make a new med. Have a bunch of fields we got to fill out. The barcode is going to be the encoded barcode for your physical medication. You can just, if you have the scanner hooked up to your computer you're running Marsupial Editor on, you can just scan the barcode physically and it will enter in here. So let's say this was the barcode I scanned for my medication, or you can read the barcode off of the package. I recommend scanning it just so you don't transpose the numbers wrong while you're reading it. So you can scan your new medication, and let's say we scanned, I don't know, let's do Metadrine. Our dose is going to be 5 milligrams. And our routes, it's going to be a pill. So we're going to say it's enteral, and we'll just pick tablet. There's a bunch of pre-filled options here, which should cover most things, but you are free to type whatever you want here. We'll pick tablet. The med form field doesn't really matter, but it will populate in the EMR and show the students when they scan it, it'll say you scan 5 milligram tablet of this drug. So it'll tell the med form of what it is. So it's good to make sure that's accurate. And then we have our locations. This is optional for medication dispenser users. I know like some people will just put their meds in a drawer on their cart or their WOW, their workstation on wheels, whatever you're using. But if you do have a medication dispenser or you're going to be using Marsupial Pharmacy, you could fill this out. So we're just going to say, we're just going to use bins. Let's say we have a cart that has, let's say it has 3 drawers and each drawer has 3 bins in it. And we're going to say this is in drawer 3, bin 3. And it's not a controlled substance. We click add, and then it'll add it to the bottom. That's basically adding a new medication. Once that's in there, you're free to create orders for that within Marsupial EMR. There's a new feature when you're making medication orders in Marsupial Editor, where you can open the med library and pick a medication as the order, and it'll copy a bunch of this information into the medication order. So if you haven't watched part 1 of this Marsupial Editor version 2 video, I would suggest watching that, and then I'll walk you through making medication orders and how to pull medications from the med library into your order. This makes things easier and prevents mistakes in transposing stuff when you're filling it out. All right, so that's editing the medication library. Let's look at the Monograph database. So the monographs are all the entries for our drug book library. So I've got a bunch of medications already in here. So you probably don't need to do anything with this unless there's a medication missing that you want to be in your drug book. Again, this is just going to be drug information, like if, something that students have a drug reference so they can look up drug information. So we'll click on acetaminophen, and it'll show all this drug information for acetaminophen. It's already in here. So the fields that you have are generic name. I'll give some brand names for the students to look at, drug class, indications, mechanisms, pharmacokinetics, dosages, nursing responsibilities, contraindications, all these things are already in here. So again, if you want to edit any of this, you can. You just click Edit Monograph, and it'll let you change the stuff if you want. Most of the boxes are just informational. There are a couple boxes that are used in some of the logic in Marsupial EMR. So mostly the IV compatibility. With these 3 boxes on the bottom. IV compatibility, there's a new IV compatibility checker within Marsupial EMR now. And it lets students make like a compatibility grid for IV medications. So it's using this box, these 2 boxes, IV compatibility and IV incompatibility, to pull data from there. So let's say I was picking fentanyl, IV fentanyl, IV morphine, and let's say norepinephrine. So I know those are all compatible. And when I pick, like in my grid, if I pick those drugs, fentanyl, morphine, and norepinephrine, it'll try and find those drug names within the compatibility box. And if it does, it'll mark those as compatible. If the drug name is not in the box, it will show it as a question mark. It doesn't know if it's compatible. And if it's the names in the incompatibility box, it'll show it as incompatible. So they have like a red X on it. So you can use these for the IV compatibility checker. I've already got a lot of drugs in here and fluids that are pulled from drug reference book. So again, unless you want to edit it or change it for some reason, you don't really need to do anything here. This alerts box will pop up if there's anything in the box. It'll pop up in red bold text at the top of the drug book when the students go to search for a medication. It'll give them like a bold red alert. So I usually use this for like high alert medications like beta blockers or anticoagulants or something like that are going to be like high alert medications. And I'll just type, let's look at, I'm guessing heparin should be marked as one. Yeah, this alert says high alert medication. So that's all I use it for. I've got all the high alert meds marked in here. So again, unless you need to change something or make a new medication, you shouldn't have to do anything. But yeah, if you want to make a new drug, you just hit new monograph. It'll ask you to enter a new drug name. So I've got a lot of drugs in here, so I don't really have an example of drug name that I don't have in here. But let's just say medication. That'll be our drug name, our fake drug name. And then it'll be added to our list here. Medication, and we can hit edit monograph, and then we can fill it out. And once you fill everything out, you can hit save monograph. And if you want to delete one, you can do that too. So that's basically the monograph library. I think that might be it for this video. Don't really have anything else to show you for the med library or the monograph database. So if you have any questions, again, make sure you watched part 1 video of Marsupial Editor version 2. I redid the editor video for version 2 because there's some new stuff. So check that out if you haven't. If you have questions, we always will have the discussion board on GitHub for Marsupial EMR. You can always click the help button. It'll pull up the Marsupial webpage, and you can click to go to the GitHub site and go to the discussion board. I can answer questions if you have any there. So if you have any questions, just reach out.